spend hundreds of thousands of rand on supercars, clothes, and watches. They cause drama with their questionable behavior, and they love to show off their wealth to the rest of the world on Instagram and reality TV shows. These are the rich kids of South Africa, and they're fascinating to follow. If this is your first time visiting our channel, hit the button to subscribe, and then get ready to go green with envy as we take you inside the lives of the rich kids of South Africa. Keep watching to discover how one rich kid wasn't quite as rich as he made out, and the huge controversy it caused. They say money makes the world go round, and it certainly plays a big part in these wealthy young South Africans' lavish lives. If you're wondering how they spend their days and what they spend their money on, let us show you. We'll give you a clue. There's plenty of partying, fast cars, champagne, and designer shopping. So pretty much like the other rich kids all over the world, but with a particular South African vibe. You see, the currency in South Africa makes you a millionaire quicker than it does in countries like the US. That's because $1 is the equivalent of around 13 South African rand. So when rich kids are dropping $1 million on a watch, that's not like spending $1 million on a timepiece. It's more like 74,000 US dollars, which is still a lot to spend on a watch, of course, but how much more extravagant does it sound when you ask your parents to spend $1 million on a watch? Trust us, this actually happens, as we'll show you later. There are a couple of ways to discover what life is like for the rich kids of South Africa. There's an Instagram account that documents their ostentatious displays of wealth, and there's the Rich Kids reality TV show, which introduces us to a group of these privileged young things. If you want to know where the coolest places are to hang out, stay tuned as we show you where wealthy South Africans shop, eat, drink, party, and vacation. Of course, it was only a matter of time until the rich kids of South Africa got an Instagram account. In fact, it was February 2015, just a couple of months before the South African reality TV show Rich Kids started airing in April of that year. The social media account doesn't disappoint, showing off a selection of their most extravagant purchases and activities, like their Cartier shopping sprees and colorful Louboutin shoes, or their matching his and hers Louboutins. Seriously, it doesn't seem to matter which country you're wealthy in. If you're a rich kid, you're wearing Louboutin footwear. Rich kids the world over also love to share shots of their expensive watches on social media, and South African rich kids are no different. Obviously, they don't own just one either. They love to show off their entire collections, nor do they have just one supercar. They like to show off their various wheels, lining them up next to each other. When you've got a Porsche 911, you're gonna want to show it off online. But it is pretty surprising what one rich kid did with his cool ride. We'd normally assume someone had been evicted from their apartment if they ended up sleeping in their car. But when you're an owner of a fancy set of wheels, sometimes you just climb inside and settle down for some shut-eye, probably just to prove what a comfortable place it is. After all, these kids have fancy mansions to sleep in ordinarily. They also have even fancier modes of transport, like helicopters. After all, why go by land when you can go by air? And what could be more extravagant than gold everything? Of course, there's the gold iPhone. Every rich kid is gonna want that. It's the perfect accessory to show on the table at fancy restaurant Tasha's in Johannesburg. But when it comes to bullion, why not just have a 1 kilogram gold bar? Nothing screams rich like a big old bar of solid gold. Unless you have something that most people could only dream of owning, like your own personalized Dior scent. Some rich South African kids take their ostentatious displays of wealth to the next level, like Azar Balam. He shared a photo of his gold chain next to the valuation from the jewelers. The paperwork proved that his necklace was worth a cool 150,000 rand. Let us do the math for you. That's around 11,000 US dollars. Or how about Rio Balam? Not only did he share a photo of his fancy Rolex watch, he also included a piece of paperwork. And not just any old paperwork, but the valuation documents. And these confirmed that the total value of his Rolex was 143,800 rand. That's over 10,000 US dollars. That's nothing though, compared to the rich kid who boasted that he asked his wealthy parents for a watch worth 1 million rand. Yes, really, there's a rich kid of South Africa who thinks it's totally acceptable to drop a cool million rand on a timepiece. And we're introduced to him in the Rich Kids reality TV series. It airs on an entertainment channel aimed at young Africans called Vuzu Amp. The show, which debuted in April 2015, gives viewers a glimpse into the lives of some of South Africa's wealthiest youths. It chronicles their opulent lifestyles full of expensive toys and millions of rand. Host Nomuzi Mabena, who is known as Muesli, shows viewers what life is like on the upper side. The hashtag Nice Life Problems goes hand in hand with the show, and boy do these well-heeled kids know how to live the nice life. It's the first ever South African reality TV show to put the spotlight on the country's affluent teens and 20-somethings. And what a spotlight it gave straight off the bat. In the promo to the show, viewers had their appetite whet with a glimpse at 20-something rich rich kid, Nape Phasha. He classes himself as globe-trotting lover of sneakers and parties, and ridiculously expensive watches too, it would appear. The law student bragged about asking his parents for a 1 million rand Rolex because he needed to have it. In his profile on the show's website, he lists watches in his top 5 most prized possessions, along with his cars, sneaker collection, jewelry, and his degree in political science. Speaking of cars, Nape's family's rides include a Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, Audi, Jaguar, Mini, BMW, and more. Long lists of fancy cars are one of the things that the South African stars of rich kids do really well, like Bob Manonga, whose family owns no less than 4 Ferraris and 4 Bentleys. He himself has a limited edition Mercedes-Benz. He listed his car, shoes, and clothes in his most prized possessions. Bob appeared on the show with his brother Don, showing off their 14-bedroom mansion in Tshakoane. If you're wondering where the privileged youth vacation, then Bob will let you in on the secret. His favorite spot is Knysna in the Western Cape province of South Africa. This scenic place is part of the Garden Route, and it's where the rich love to head to chill by the ocean. Bob's fellow cast member Olivia Cloud also gave us a glimpse into the hot vacation spots for rich young things in South Africa, listing Cape Town and the affluent coastal resort town north of Durban called Umhlanga amongst her favorites. But not all rich kids are necessarily as rich as they'd lead you to believe. Even those who made it onto the TV show weren't all as wealthy as they made out. Keep watching to discover the scandal that was caused by one such rich kid whose fake claims were revealed. It was such a controversy, there was even a question mark hanging over the show's future. Some stars of rich kids, however, came to the show with some pretty impressive credentials under their belt, like the aforementioned Olivia. Before starring on the reality show, the aspiring singer had already made it to the top 16 stage of Idol's SA in her native country. And she did all that aged just 16. That made her one of the youngest ever contestants to get so far in the talent competition. She eventually caught the eye of .les, the South African and American hip-hop record producer and recording artist. Olivia went on to make cameos in many of his music videos, as well as releasing her own single called Shape. So it just goes to show, not all of the rich kids spend all of their time shopping and obsessing over clothes. Unless that's their job, of course. And it is the job of Lauren Campbell. Known online as Fashionista CT, Lauren is a Cape Town blogger who lists herself as a Alekssandre ambassador, Steve Madden influencer, and digital entrepreneur on her Instagram account. She eats at Nobu and parties at Shimmy Beach, a seaside complex with outdoor restaurant, bar, and pool. As you'd expect, her closet of clothes and shoe collections are envy-inducing, like a pair of Louboutin boots that cost 16,000 rand. That's over $1,000 and her Versace sneakers at 18,000 rand. There's also a YSL clutch for 13,000 rand, plus an LV bag worth 82,000 rand, which is more than $6,000. Head out to her garage, however, and the price tags just get bigger. Like Lauren's Range Rover Evoque, which costs an eye-watering 700,000 rand. That converts to over $50,000. But that's nothing compared to the price tag of her home, which is 10 million rand. We told you, everything sounds incredibly expensive in the South African currency. And it is lavish, full stop, being the equivalent of around $750,000. It's not all just take for Lauren, however. She lists her volunteer work with kids through her family's charity at her church as her favorite time of the week. Not all of the stars of the show have such clean slates, though. Louis Jr Tshakoane was caught up in a controversy when there were claims he was running a Forex scam. However, he was one of the country's youngest rumored millionaires after he got his start thanks to Richard Branson. Louis claims that when he was 16, Branson gave him gym training equipment worth 2 million rand and 500,000 rand to set up a community project to lift the disadvantaged township of Tembisa. He went on to start up Undercover Millionaires to bridge the gap between aspirational young entrepreneurs like himself and the affluent older generation. After that success, Louis went on to form an even more exclusive society of elite business professionals called Undercover Billionaires. He claims to verify their wealth status and then include them in what he calls the WhatsApp for Millionaires, or the Little Black Book of the Internet. Louis thinks nothing of spending 120,000 rand, nearly $9,000, in one shopping spree at bespoke menswear tailor Roy Cascara, or owning an Audi RS3 with a price tag of 800,000 rand, which is just under $60,000, and a BMW M4 Coupe worth 1.7 million rand. That's the equivalent of $125,000. The exhaust system alone cost 200,000 rand, or $15,000. His His is a world of private chefs and Moët on tap. It's no wonder he calls himself the Wolf of Santon, switching out Wall Street for the area of Johannesburg that is thought to be the richest square mile in Africa. Louis isn't the only star of the rich kids to have been surrounded by controversy. In fact, it was revealed that one of the rich kids featured on the show wasn't such a rich kid after all, and it caused all sorts of commotion. After Alekssandre, Aleks, Fortunato's episode aired, a viewer took to Twitter to claim the scenes about his riches contained false information. And it turns out Alekssandre lied about his so-called wealth, acting like he owned a flashy home when in fact it was a friend's place. The show's production company, Something's Cool, released a statement extending an apology to the South African audience with regards to episode 4 of Voodoo Rich Kids. They claimed to have followed all necessary steps, including sub-character and home visit checks, but remained unaware of the truth until just before the broadcast. When you read Alex's profile on the show's website, alarm bells start ringing. This does not sound like a rich kid. When asked about family cars, Alekssandre's response is, "Gosh, haven't really taken notice, but they are 4x4s. What rich kid couldn't tell you in detail every supercar to their name?" And when posed with the question, shopping online or going to shopping centers, he replies, "Neither, not really a fan of shopping." What rich kid isn't a fan of shopping? Come on, producers, you should have spotted this fake a mile off. A director at the Mnet TV network said at the time that there was a chance the show would be cancelled, but fortunately for fans of rich kids, it kept going. What do you think of the rich kids of South Africa? Let us know in the comments, and please give this video a big thumbs up. Thanks for watching!